Hey, today we're going to talk about 5.4, Impact of Agricultural Practices. Before we begin, check out the Enduring Understanding, look at the learning objective, pause the video, and review the essential knowledge, and set up your Cornell notes. So this video is going to involve a lot of flowcharts. So if your brain does not work that way, I encourage you to take notes in another fashion. Maybe do a bulleted list, write a narrative, do diagrams, however you prefer. This is the way that I'm presenting the information. So today's topic, we're going to be discussing how we prepare the fields. Because we need to prepare the fields in between the crops. So you would till something because the soil becomes compacted, whether it's through rain, through settling, through livestock walking over it, tractors driving on it. Also because there may be some organic material still on the soil surface, so you want to mix that in to help along the decomposition process and also to return some of those nutrients back to the soil. So tilling is literally just breaking up the soil, mixing up the soil. In a garden, you would use a hoe or a rake to do that. In a field, you would use like discs that are dragged behind a tractor, and these discs like cut into the soil and break it apart. When this happens, you can improve the germination of seeds, which produces higher yields. However, you can also expose the soil, which can lead it open to soil erosion, whether it is erosion from wind or from water. And over time, that can degrade the quality of the soil, which is a form of habitat destruction leading to biodiversity loss. The soil will also lose nutrients when you till, and it can also lose nutrients during the crop process, the growing of the crops. And when this happens, you have to use more fertilizers. When you use more fertilizers, what will happen is can lead to runoff, followed by eutrophication, followed by hypoxia, which can eventually lead to biodiversity loss. Now, to increase the area of a farm, you can also prepare a field by using slash and burn techniques. And slash and burn is where you cut everything down and you burn what remains. Now, this is going to increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which can contribute to climate change and leading to biodiversity loss, but will also provide you with nutrient-rich soil and also a high yield. And eventually, the nutrients are only in the soil for maybe a season, maybe 2 growing seasons, and then they're eventually depleted. Now, monocropping. Monocropping is when we plant a single crop. It is very efficient. It can save you money, but it can also expose the soil at the same time, which can lead to soil erosion, which is a form of habitat destruction, which is leading to biodiversity loss. When you monocrop, you are also reducing the nutrients in the soil because they're taking out the same nutrients every single time. Corn takes a lot of nitrogen out of the soil. So if you're planting corn and you're growing corn repeatedly, it's reducing a lot of the nitrogen, which can lead to soil degradation, which is a form of habitat destruction, which leads to biodiversity loss. Also, when you monocrop, you're only planting one type of organism, which is really severely limiting the food webs that can form in this field. So it is overall reducing biodiversity, which can decrease the pest predators. So I may have a certain pest that is feeding on corn, for example, maybe an insect, and I might have birds that are feeding on that. But if I have a reduction in biodiversity, a lot of these predators on these pests, these birds, don't have a place to live because they would normally live in trees. And if you cut down all the trees to build this field, the birds don't have a place to live anymore. So you have to eventually increase pesticides, which will eventually lead to more biodiversity loss. Another thing we might do is use fertilizers. And we first, in order to fertilize something, we have to synthesize or make ammonium nitrate. Ammonium nitrate is produced in a laboratory using fossil fuels. This is a common form of fertilizer that is used. It provides very nitrogen-rich molecules to the soil. It is easy to transport, which can reap economic benefits. That can show itself in the lowered cost of produce, but it can also increase the profits for the farmers. It can also provide a target nutrient. So instead of just spending money on a wide variety of fertilizers or nutrients that are provided, you can provide one target nutrient. For example, if you're growing corn, you're reducing a lot of nitrogen. This would be a great fertilizer to use to replace that nitrogen. It can increase crop production and have economic benefits, at least temporary economic benefits. However, adding nitrogen will alter the nitrogen cycle, and that can lead to runoff, or can result in runoff followed by eutrophication, followed by hypoxia, which eventually will result in biodiversity loss. Once you add this fertilizer, these nutrients are not bound to any organic material, so they can easily leach out of the soil, and that's where they can easily enter aquatic waterways, leading to soil degradation and, of course, biodiversity loss. And finally, the fertilizers use fossil fuels to produce, which releases carbon dioxide, leading to climate change, resulting in biodiversity loss. So there was a lot of information that I have given you. What I would like you to tell me is I would like you to describe one economic disadvantage of using synthetic fertilizers. I hope that this was informative. We will discuss this in class. Thank you for your attention. I will see you soon.